Our special edition looking at the city election that has just passed continues now with my panel. In addition to Otis, we have Katherine Burgess with the Commercial Appeal, and Tawan Stout-Mitchell, political consultant. And also, Sheriff Bonner was your guy, so we're going to want to get your response to that.
I was a supporter of Sheriff Bonner, and he finished a respectable second.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. In fact, first of all, let's show you the vote results for the top 4 candidates, and it just breaks it down by percentage for you. You had Paul Young, obviously, the winner with just 20, we'll round it up, just to be nice, from 28%, it's 27.6, I think, officially, 22% for Floyd Bonner, Willie Harrington, and Van Turner, very close in their total votes at 21%. And then we have another graphic I want to show you, folks, that breaks it down by precinct level. This is from Perry Strategies, the precincts where different candidates won the day or had more than the other candidates. And when you see this, you can see that Floyd Bonner, he's in green, and you can see where his strengths were. Then the brown areas are Paul Young's strong areas. Then the pink areas are Van Turner, and the blue areas are Willie Harrington. So, Otis, we'll start with you on this one. What's your interpretation as you look at that?
Well, it's clear that Paul Young won the youth vote, such as it was. I think he cleaned up with the youth vote. And the more liberal people who live in Midtown, downtown area. And that was enough with the low turnout that we did have. I think I'm projecting that the total turnout is only going to be about 23%. That's woeful, first of all. But Paul built up such a lead in early voting, almost 3,000 vote lead, that with a low turnout on election day, it was nobody else could catch him.
Let's put up that map one more time if we can, folks, back in the control room. Katherine, I want you to look at it as well, because it showed, you know, Sheriff Bonner did very well in Cordova, eastern part of the city, and Mayor Harrington strong on the north to the south. What are your thoughts as you look at that map?
I think it's interesting that it shows kind of the political divisions in our city. You have people who think very differently, who kind of migrate to certain parts of the city. That's not, of course, across the board, but it was interesting just driving through town, seeing all the Floyd Bonner signs in East Memphis. And then all the Paul Young signs in Midtown. And I think some of the candidates also focused their campaigns on the areas in which they were strong. My Midtown friends, they all got knocks on their door from Paul Young and Paul Young's campaign workers, whereas we know Floyd Bonner spent a lot of time in East Memphis. So they really kind of focused on their strengths. This seemed to work out for Paul Young.
Yeah, in fact, let's show you a comparison here between the early voting turnout and the day of voting turnout. In early voting, which about 58,000 voters took part in, Paul Young was first, followed by Bonner with his 13,000 and change, Harrington a little over 12,000, Turner a little over 11,000. And now the day of voting, which fell off dramatically contrary to everybody's prediction, Paul Young still maintained first place position, but Van Turner jumps up to second place in the turnout on the election day. Harrington remains in third place, and Bonner fell to fourth place. So those two flipped. What's your interpretation of that, Tawan?
I think that the DA's announcement hurt him, and his response to that announcement hurt him too. I say all the time, every campaign needs a good communications crisis team, so you can manage. Not that things won't happen; things will happen, but you have to manage your message. And I don't think I think his message was so emotional that it did not resonate with most of the citizens. That's what I'm afraid that happened to him, and that's why he fell off. And then I think people got turned off by all of the negative campaigning, because if you notice, the two at the top were the two people who did the least negative campaigning. The people who did the negative campaigning were at the bottom. The average voter, I'm told, was 62 years old, which says to me you had Floyd, Van, and Dr. Harrington splitting the average voter, with some going to Paul because his secret weapon was his mother, who effectively went in that crowd unabashedly for her son, as a mother would do.
Yeah, that's right.
And She grabbed some of that vote, but he was still able to maintain, as small as the turnout was for young people, because I always say, old folk will vote, young folk may vote.
Right.
And young folk, a few of them voted, but they were right there with Paul.
Okay, well, that's, I guess, a good synopsis of what probably happened with the Bonner campaign. Otis, former Mayor Harrington, you know, we've talked just about every week on the show about his unconventional campaigning, not taking part in the debates, not messing with advertising, and very confidently, I think, used the word arrogant, but whatever. What did it come? Did that hurt him? That he didn't seem? I mean, I did hear from people say, I wanted to feel more like he wanted the job. And by not showing up at those different events, it kind of conveyed to them maybe he wasn't that serious.
There is no question that it hurt him. People, I think we said this at the very beginning, there were people who were babies when he left office who are now voting because they're 18 and 19-year-olds. And they didn't know anything about him. And so it was incumbent upon him to take part in some of the debates. You know, his stature alone would have gotten him a few more votes. And the fact that he had the experience in City Hall, I think it hurt him tremendously. And now, obviously, this is his last campaign. I don't see him running for anything else. He's lost 3 times in a row, 1 for Congress and 2 for mayor. And he's not going to run for anything else. And I think people were saying, thank you for your service. You spent 17 and a half years there, but we don't really see you going back in the mayor's office.
Let's segue to Van Turner then, who I do think will be running again for an office. If we could just both have you ladies here just giving me your thoughts on what lies ahead for him. Are you hearing would he maybe try to run for mayor again in 4 years? Is he maybe looking at a congressional run, maybe the State House? What are you thinking? Anything at all? Or is it just conjecture at this point?
I have no clue, but I will say that was quite surprising because he had heavy hitters.
Yeah. He got them all.
Him.
We got to give him credit.
He got them all. The mayor of the county, the congressman for the district. He even had Justin Pearson, who's a new phenomenon, but he could not get past 4.
Katherine?
I think it's conjecture at this point, although I'd like to ask him. I do think we will be hearing his name again. I think with that much political backing and with the way he is so entrenched in the Democratic Party, we're going to be hearing from him again. I don't have a clue in what capacity.
There's always county mayor in 2026 now.
Yeah.
He could run for that.
And I believe he has perhaps expressed interest at times in the county mayor job.
I'm going to throw out something. I wish some of these young professionals would work together and find a way. He would be an excellent city attorney and learn the ropes and support Paul. It sends a new message that we can work together and get things done. And we need that kind of energy.
And Paul didn't shut that off when we were talking to him earlier. He said he's going to talk to him, so maybe we'll see.
We'll see. All right, we want to talk about a couple of city council races that were interesting as well from election night, and we'll do that right after this.